The explosion struck at around 7 a.m., setting fire to the children's hospital that had an estimated 110 people inside, killing a young woman and 2 infants, as well as injuring at least 66 people. Neighbors said the scene was horrific.
People had to leave, I mean as an emergency, fleeing the hospital on their own. It was terrible.
As emergency workers and even the military arrived on the scene to begin evacuations, families of the victims also arrived, realizing that people were trapped or disappeared, as authorities declared that nearly 60% of the building had collapsed.
Well, they told us that they were going to move us all to a module so that they could give us information about our family, so as to know what happened and if they're still inside. We just don't know.
Mexico City authorities declared that they had launched a criminal investigation into the events, detaining the workers of the company Gas Express Nieto, who are presumed to be responsible for the explosion.
3 of the pipe operators were detained. 2 of them are in hospital. 1 is receiving medical attention but is not in the hospital. The public investigator's office is now taking their declaration and questioning them.
This is not the first accident involving Gas Express Nieto. In 2014, a gas truck from the same company exploded in the state of Querétaro, seriously injuring 8 people, while in 2013 a driver of the private gas company Termogas crashed at high speeds outside of Mexico City, killing 23. Clayton Can, teleSUR, Mexico City.
Representatives from the Attorney General's Office of Ecuador and analysts have gathered in Quito to discuss the creation of the UNASUR South American Criminal Court. The proposal, put forward by Ecuador's Attorney General's Office, is currently under consideration by other South American nations.
On the work we have been doing for the past 2 years, we have received favourable opinions from the Attorney Generals of Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Bolivia and Venezuela, about 6 or 7 countries. Their Attorney Generals are in agreement with the creation of the courts.
Attorney General Chiriboga said that the creation of the South American Criminal Court is not intended to compete with the International Criminal Court, but would rather focus on those transnational crimes, such as drug and human trafficking, occurring in the region. These crimes, instead of being transferred to foreign courts, would be under UNASUR's jurisdiction in what he described to be a mobile court, tried throughout UNASUR member states.
States should conserve their jurisdictional sovereignty, and they should try to collaborate in the prosecution of crimes. There should be a connection of this kind for investigating criminal intelligence on the international level. So what there should be is absolute connectivity, and there should be international cooperation.
The creation of the South American Criminal Court would institutionally allow for those transnational crimes committed within the 12 member states to be tried within the region, giving jurisdiction and sovereignty to the UNASUR body. Liz Sherfius, teleSUR, Ecuador.
Walter Ramos is a machine operator in Peru for a bottling company which is a subsidiary of the multinational Coca-Cola company. He joined his co-workers in the 6th march of a series of large labor rights demonstrations that recently took place in the country. This time, the march was led by labor union workers from the textile sector and other industries such as soft drink producers.
In the practice, what the government is doing is benefiting the business sector. They are increasing their earnings and they are making it easier for them to fire workers. For that reason, we are here together against this law that allows collective redundancies.
Ramos was referring to a recent law that allows companies to fire up to 5% of workers if their profits are down. Union leaders fear the measure will be just another pretext to dismiss employees trying to form or join labor unions. The march was also backed by the youth organizations that led the previous 5 massive rallies.
We as young people are showing solidarity with all workers. When we say that the struggle continues, it is because the law has only been a mere sample for the awareness of the youth.
The law, explained his proposal, is basically a universal law to protect the rights of all workers. His initiative will also block special measures that attempt to waive employees' rights in certain industries. Reporting for teleSUR from Lima, Peru, Rael Mora.
The $5.4 billion pledged for the reconstruction of Gaza has not yet been delivered. The funds were agreed on in Cairo in October after 2 months disproportionate Israeli attacks on the occupied enclave. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees said Tuesday that it cannot afford to repair Gaza homes damaged by Israeli forces.
We are in a very critical financial situation here in the Gaza Strip. We are forced to stop paying money for repairing the damaged shelters that had been destroyed during the Gaza war, or for substantial fees, for rental fees actually here in the Gaza Strip. What reached us, it's about $135 million. We asked for $724 million during Cairo, reconstructing Gaza conference, but unfortunately nothing reached of that money to Gaza. We have paid $77 million for rental subsidies and for repairing the shelters of more than 96,000 shelters that had been destroyed. We have to pay for them, for the rest of them also, or for another payments for them, for the rental subsidies or for repairing their shelters, but unfortunately we don't have money.
United Nations Body for Palestine said more than 96,000 Palestinian homes were destroyed or damaged during the Israeli attacks. It added that so far $77 million have been given to 66,000 Palestinian refugee families to repair their homes or find a temporary alternative.
صعب كتير على الوكالة، وهذا باعتباره استعمار جديد، انه تمنع بدل اجار للناس او توقف بدل اعمار. هذه حتكون حرب جديدة، وهذا يعني انا متوقع من الايام الجاية حتكون صعبة جدا.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine stated that some funds are available to begin the reconstruction of totally destroyed homes. But it added that cutting subsidies to displaced residents currently renting alternative accommodation could force large numbers back to UN schools and centers, which are already sheltering 12,000 people. Noor Harazin, teleSUR TV, Gaza.
Officials of St. Lucia's Water and Sewage Company WASCO say the island's main source of water, the John Compton Dam, has been severely compromised. They say years of landslides from the above catchments have caused the accumulation of silt in the dam, which now operates at half its built capacity.
Recall that last year, and even this year, we are still continuing in a very severe hydrological drought situation. That has not abated. We started implementing measures in March of last year. And then we had a water-related emergency, which is in effect because we have not had rainfall for the year. What it means for us is that we need to make sure we factor that into whatever we are going to be doing this year for the purpose of ensuring that we can supply water to sustain the economy of St. Lucia.
As for what people are doing to help the situation, Fitzgerald John says there are many simple measures each person can take to conserve water. He has been on a campaign, fearing a water crisis is imminent.
This is the time now for persons to start to use water more sparingly, start to collect rainwater, start to get the cisterns in order, start to get stuff that they could use to collect water.
The water worries are not unique to St. Lucia. Many Caribbean countries are putting measures in place to ensure water is not wasted. Caribbean governments have put water conservation on the priority list for climate change adaptation. Meanwhile, officials of the water company say there is no room for error in this project, as the water reservoir must be rehabilitated to avoid catastrophic results.
The water and sewage company is urging St. Lucians to adopt strict water conservation measures to protect the precious resource. From Castries, St. Lucia, Alison Kentish for teleSUR English.
Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez will begin gathering signatures to put a plebiscite to the National Congress, asking Hondurans if they will approve the creation of a military police force. As a response, leader of the opposition, Manuel Zelaya, said his Libre Party would also call for a plebiscite, but on the creation of a new National Constitutive Assembly.
This is a proposal that President Zelaya initially had in 2009. That was the reason why he was removed by a coup d'etat, because he wanted to ask the people if they wanted constitutional changes. But now the president, after his defeat in Congress to create his military police force, is now talking about a plebiscite.
Both parties are looking to change the constitution, and many believe these two proposals are the start of the political campaign, even though the election is 3 years away.
I think that these two parties, with such different ideologies, will be at odds at some point. They are campaigning, even though we are 3 years away from elections. The electoral campaigning will begin now.
Zelaya's followers have experience in gathering signatures. In 2010, they gathered 1.2 million signatures to demand Zelaya's return from exile. Now they will use their experience to push for a constituent assembly to modify the constitution. Gerardo Torres, teleSUR, Central America.